Hey there, beautiful souls. I'm Colynn
And I'm Meridee.
and welcome to Spiritual Sisters of Sass, the podcast where two sisters with a passion for spirituality and a touch of sass come together to explore the exciting world of self-improvement.
That's right, Colynn. We embarked on this incredible journey together, diving into different self-improvement techniques, yoga practices, and a whole array of life experiences.
Yeah, and through it all, we've managed to create lives that are abundant, happy, and constantly evolving. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it, Meridee?
You bet, sis. We've got two very different perspectives on life, but that's what makes this podcast so special. I'm all about diving in head first into life's adventures and embracing every challenge with a bit of sass. While Colynn here, she's got her own unique approach.
Yep, that's me. And I'm all about the yoga, mindfulness, and finding my zen. And together we make the perfect balance.
So whether you're looking for some wisdom, a few laughs, or just some heartfelt stories, you're in the right place. We're here to share our personal experiences and insights with you, all while exploring the wild and diverse world of self-improvement.
So grab your headphones and get ready for a fantastic journey with us. Spiritual Sisters of Sass is here to uplift, inspire, and keep it real.
Thanks for tuning in, lovely listeners. Let's dive in.
Spirit and sass. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Spiritual Sisters with Sass. As you can see this week, we have a special guest. Yes, so welcome to Tammy Cox, who is coming at us from Arizona with a lot of really juicy stuff around reclaiming your marriage. So I don't think I need to dive in too much more because Tammy's going to tell us all about it. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, Tammy. And if you don't mind, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today.
Okay. Well, I'm so stoked to be here. Already having a good time. So thanks for the warm welcome. Yes, I am Tammy Cox from Arizona, and I help women save their marriage from divorce, whether or not their husbands are on board, by healing the wounds caused by childhood trauma. So I've actually broadened out. Now I work with women who are looking to find love as well, because it's really the same path. The thing is like, if we don't have something that we've really, really wanted, or we can't sustain it, like it comes and goes, there's only one reason why, and that's there's a belief in the way. So what I work with my clients on is really finding the beliefs that are holding them back from the desires that they want. So we do a lot of inner child healing. And yeah, was there a particular...
Oh, this is amazing because one of the things that I think of is both my sister and I have been through divorce, and not technically did I get married a second time, but I went into a long-term relationship and that also ended. And I remember in my first divorce, there was a woman who was also divorced that told me, like, don't do it. Just
Don't do what?
Don't
Divorce?
get divorced. Like, try to figure it out. And I remember thinking, like, absolutely not. There's no way. And then I went through a divorce, and then I ended up in a place of like actually giving the same advice of like, the idea is like, if I'm not happy with this person, if I'm not happy with Bob, I'm not going to be happy with John. I'm not going to be happy with, yeah, I mean, I can insert female names here as well. It's because it's not necessarily them. So having you on here is like, it's confirming and really diving into like, okay, great, but you don't understand because this person's such a jerk. Like, I'm also not unhappy that I divorced my first husband.
Right. No, it's true. It's like what I tell people, especially from the point I'm at now, is like, you can do that. You can move on, get a divorce, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, but you're going to see similar patterns. Because what I do with my clients is like, okay, if you go through this healing journey with me, I'm really not attached to saving the marriage because sometimes there is an unhealthy dynamics that I wouldn't really suggest they stay in. What I am attached to is their healing journey. So if you are showing up as the whole being you are, you're not going to put up with you're not going to put up with this. You're also going to show up in all of your power. You're not going to allow this person to treat you that way or whatever. You are going to be the fullest version of you. So I'm actually not attached to that particular relationship. However, when you start to go through your traumatic events in those first 5 years, what you'll notice is the pattern in which you experience these love relationships and really all your relationships is because of those early experiences, because that's what created the beliefs. And that's when you created them. So I say, with my ladies, I'm like, we're going to put our blinders on for a bit. And you're not going to look outside of yourself for anything because, as within, so without, as above, so below. So if you are happiness, it's an inside job. Love is an inside job. It actually comes out from you and reflects back to you. Whatever you're giving out, it's reflected back to you. So you can look at all the relationships and say, they're all a reflection of your relationship with yourself.
Yes.
So, you can move on from partner to partner, but you're not going to get very far.
Yeah, I love that. We just had a mastermind like right before this call, and my daughter's in the mastermind and she was vulnerable. And it was so beautiful to witness because she's fighting with her current partner because he never has her back. And the whole time she's explaining or sharing her story, he doesn't have her back because she's always negative. She's always this, she's always that. But at the same time, she is inserting how she's wrong and how she's annoying and how she does this wrong. And so I said, what does it look like when someone has your back? And she said, well, they're confident in me, they're defensive of me, and they love who I am. And I said, well, how do you expect Leo to have your back when you don't even? Because you've told us how annoying you are. You've told us how you're wrong. And I hear you gaslighting yourself. So you want someone outside of you to have your back when you don't even have your own back.
Yeah.
How's that going to translate in your marriage? And she was just like, it was a deep moment for her, really beautiful to witness. But like, also, we tend to want like someone else to fix it for us.
Yes.
And they never do.
Yeah.
They literally can't because our belief controls the way we even see it, right? It's the reason why we feel the way that we do. It goes, all of our beliefs are held within the identity, and the identity creates the belief, and the belief creates the thought, and the thought creates the emotion, and the emotion creates the circumstances of our life. So if our results are not what we want it to be, it always will go back to a belief. So as long as we're needing someone or something outside of ourselves to do X, Y, Z to make us happy, then we're never going to be in our fullest power or be fully empowered to create for ourselves. Right? It's just the codependent strings that can go
right
so deep.
I'm totally taking over here, Meridee, but that was like what we were focusing on is like I have people work through like what are your three main stories that are kind of always running in your head. And so her three main stories are I'm a bitch, I'm alone, and expressing emotion is bad. And so here she is in a situation where she's really upset with someone that was a friend that kind of like messed her over. And so she's super negative about this person, had to spend the weekend like at a vendor's market. And then she comes home and then she's complaining to her husband who doesn't have her back. And so I'm like, well, what story's running there? I'm alone. Because essentially she's pushing a friend away and she's also pushing her husband away because he's not doing what she wants. And then the minute she starts to express emotion, she cuts it right off because it's bad. And then she turns into a bitch, which is like, there's her stories. And it's like, she's just confirming them, but then also like wanting this to be different, but not even having her own back in the moment.
Yeah. But the awareness, right? Like it's so empowering when a client, or in your case, your daughter, can identify, you call them stories. in my line of work, we call them life commands. So it's same thing. It's the words that you made up at that young age that have been following you this whole time. They're the deeply stamped ones. It's so empowering to recognize not only, okay, I got my stories here. They're at the top of my head. And now I can see all the events where they come out, right? So empowering.
Yeah,
Because
it is.
we all have, we can't not have the stories. Let's not judge them anymore. We all have them. That's the way that we are human beings. We have this story, or else we'd come into this world with like we'd be blobs because we had no meaning of anything, right? I guess we kind of are, but we are downloaded with these ideas. And I've noticed with my commands, they actually go down generational. So, I've passed my kids get both my husband and I's commands, and I've inherited my parents' lovely commands. And so it's really so powerful to know those. So
You have
hooray
to
for
see
her.
it in order to start to change it,
I
first of
mean,
all.
you do, it's the awareness, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
awareness that, okay, this makes sense. I have these.
Yep. And it's so interesting because, like, through the last year of us doing this podcast, both of us have done so much personal growth. And I see now, because I've been dating and like over the last year, on and off, and through that process, learned what my type was. Because I said, like, I don't really have a type. Well, my type was a douchebag who was going to treat me badly. And so I've really spent a lot of time working on myself, loving myself, accepting myself, that I am an imperfect human being with things that I can work on, but that also I'm kind of awesome. And so doing all of this work and now dating this, like, honestly, incredible man. And, what I love about him is that he's so kind and he's so sweet and he's thoughtful, and he's also flawed. And in
What?
all of I know, but here's the crazy part. In all of my relationships, I would look at this total douchebag, and put him up on this pedestal and just be like, oh. And it was like he had no flaws, except he was one of the most flawed people because he treated me like shit all the time. I allowed it. I created it. It was my story that came with me. And because of the work that I've done around this story that I had, now I have this man. And as you guys were speaking, like, I see the reflection of myself in this man because I'm so much kinder to myself. I'm so much more like, all of the things that I see in him are things that I see in myself, but I also see my flaws and I see his flaws and I accept his flaws and I'm okay with his flaws. Whereas before I rejected my own flaws. My own flaws weren't okay. I almost needed to be perfect. I didn't know how not to be perfect. Now I realize, and then I would tell people, like, you're not going to be perfect until you're dead.
There's that. And then there's also these like words that we use, like, I think that there's perfection in the imperfection. Like you didn't come here to live this existence.
Mhm.
Okay. When was this going to be? Okay. No, like we didn't come here to flatline life. We came here to
Yeah.
go up and down and up and figure stuff out and expand and grow. Like, how lame would it be if everything were perfect?
Right?
How lame would that be? That would be if everyone we would be like drones, like we would be robots. I don't think that sounds fun at all. So
No.
these things you say like flaws, I don't even believe in that.
I finally understand that there's a song, and in it he says, the things you call flaws, I call beautiful. Suddenly
It's
it has
like
like
what makes
this.
something a flaw? There's things that you want and there's things that you don't want. And every two people have a different version of that. So what makes
Yes.
something bad or good?
Yes.
What you say it is.
Yes. And that's a standard conversation for us as well, is when we talk about experiences and we put a label of bad or good on them, and the fact that they're just experiences for you to learn from, good or bad.
Yeah. We don't need the judgment. We could take that off of it and say, okay, that's an interesting experience. I learned these things. Like I believe that we go through our traumas in order to learn from them. I actually believe that we choose them before we come into this lifetime.
Yes.
for the
So
expansion,
interesting
for
because
the compassion that we get to create, right? So
I
it's
find
just,
this
yeah,
conversation so interesting. Sorry to interrupt, but I just find it so interesting because you're so aligned with so many things that we believe in, like that we've chosen this life before, that everything around you is a reflection of you. Like all of the things you're saying are so in alignment with all of the things that we also believe and that we feel in our lives.
I love having those conversations. That's why I love doing this, is like I get to connect with people that, I don't see a lot in
Yeah.
my personal reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what would you say is like it's so amazing. We're just having this conversation right before this podcast. So I love that. And we went into how is it now that we can communicate with our partners, whether they're on board or not, as a way to come to understanding each other, not judging. Within Codependence Anonymous, there's a conversation about keeping your side of the street clean. So I like when you said to put on the blinders, because then I'm not looking at this person and all the things that they're doing wrong. That allows me the chance to look at like, oh, look at all the things that maybe I could clean up before I start like narrowing in and
Yeah.
focusing on the person I'm with. So I clean up my side of the street before we even look at having the conversation of breaking up or doing something different. What is it that you dive into with people when you're looking at like the husband or the partner is a jerk?
I
They're
mean,
not
there's
on the
some
same
stuff
level.
that, yeah, there's some, you'll never be on the same level. I'll just
Fair.
tell you that, I've been with my husband 18 years. There's times he goes up. There's times I go up. It's not always at the same time. Now, I believe that when we're on our growth journey, we kind of do these things. We're going up, but we're making these little dips down. We got to look at it as a whole. We are going up.
Yeah.
It just, it's not going to be just like this
Right.
straight, smooth ascension. So I feel like as long as we're looking for anything or anyone outside of us to be different than they are, like when my husband does something that annoys me, sometimes I'm unconscious and I react, right? But usually I take it as an invitation. If it bugs me, it's triggering something within me. Let me look at what it's triggering within me. And when you do that and you don't make it about other people or other things, when you go through these painful things, if you just go within, that's where all your answers are. And you're going to see why that thing hurts so bad. And we just take this viewpoint on something that isn't necessarily right or wrong. It's just the way that we see it. And if we could look at everything as neutral, then we'd be able to see the wisdom in all of it. But like, you pick that person. If you guys are in each other's field for any significant point in time, they're reflecting back to you. So as long as you're looking at them and saying, "Oh no, it's a them issue," then like I said, you can't be the creator of your own universe. You are the victim because things are constantly happening to you.
Right.
You have no control. So that's why I choose to take the stance of like, I'm owning my life 100%. Everything that I experience is because of me. It's not because of anyone else. I take that stance because it's the only way to be 100% empowered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also found that like this place of ownership can really mess with a marriage, right? I've been in ownership relationship until more recently.
Do you
And
mean like possessiveness?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like you're mine and I'm going to tell you who you can and cannot talk to, right? Like
Yeah.
creating my own suffering in the idea of like ownership as opposed to two sovereign, independent beings coming together because they choose to be together,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, you're not allowed to talk to her.
Yeah, I'd love someone to try and tell me what to do. I
Yeah.
I am just like, because I'm big into personalities too, and our personalities tend to attract, it's opposite. And I am a high controller, so I tend to attract high supporters. And I had to learn how to balance this out, right? And I'm still always working on the balance. but to really know thyself, right? And so when I'm in my unhealthy versions of myself, I want to
Yep.
control
Yep.
and, and I have to recognize when I'm in that state, right? In order for me to be like, okay, I got some stuff coming up I get to look at, right? But what I've noticed in general, when I chose to heal, my husband was not on board.
Right.
In fact, it made him very uncomfortable because where was his fight buddy? All of a sudden she wasn't there and she was saying things like, I don't care if we stay together. I'm going to get myself healthy and you're not responsible for my happiness and I'm not putting that on you anymore. And so it shifted the dynamics. And at first it scared him. And when I think when it changed was he started to see me grow. And I think he wanted a little bit of that peace that he saw me have. Like I just had this remarkable peace and I was happy and I was less looking to him and nitpicking at him and worried about him because I was just I was working on me, right? And that's what will happen to your partner when you truly heal. Either they're going to eventually make that ascension up with you, or they'll just disperse. The universe will take them out of your experience altogether in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
But we are magnets. We can't not be a magnet. So whatever we draw to us, we are drawing to us because we're magnets. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So let's just say that someone comes to you and, their husband's an alcoholic and they're either emotionally or physically abusive. And now I'm like, I need to leave him. You
Yeah.
already know if I leave him and don't do this work, I'm moving on to the next one, which will
Yep.
probably be 10 times
Another
more.
alcoholic.
Yeah. Well, if it's a physical, I'm like, get out.
Get out.
Either way, she's got to do her work. And that's what I say. If you are attracting unhealthy relationships, it's because you need to heal. Period. Because before we heal, we allow in all this trash that we don't really want. Right. No one really wants to be, like with my podcast, I take people through a session, right? It's anonymous. So their screen is blacked out, but I take them through a process. And I had a lady on a couple of weeks ago and, she had attracted all of her adult relationships. There was domestic violence. So I said, okay, well, I know where this is going to go, but I take her back to her childhood. And of course that's there. It's the first 5 years. Your entire personality is developed almost entirely in those first 5 years. So I know it's what's going to be there when I take her. But it's just like there's only one reason why you would think that is an okay relationship, and it's because you experienced it very young. So if you do not fix that, if you do not fix that little 5-year-old girl within you who is still broken and hurting and crying out, if you do not meet her where she's at, then you could just expect that you will get another abusive relationship.
Right. So that makes me ask you, what would be some of the tools that you would give these people or the way you would walk them through? So say we have a session and I tell you, oh my God, my dad beat me. My dad didn't, but say I'm under 5 years old. My first memory is that my dad was beating me silly. And that's why I date men that beat me. How would you help me to
I have a better idea.
Okay.
Since you were just dating someone and you have recognized a type, are you willing to maybe move Meridee through this? Because there's some healing to do around. I love that you do that as part of your podcast.
Yeah. I could totally. How much time do we have?
We have time. And Meridee's always open.
But here is the thing that I've noticed when someone is interviewing me, they're in a certain kind of mode in their mind. Because what I take them, I do a subconscious process.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they can't get relaxed enough to go through it.
Yeah.
So that's what concerned me. I had another lady ask me to do it, and she just could not get out of the mode. And I was like, it's because you are in. I'm hosting a podcast mode, right?
We're used to, this is pretty normal for us. Like we coach each other in our podcasts pretty regularly. So I'm open to trying it if you're open to.
I mean, because it's kind of, it's not hypnotherapy exactly, but you got to, because what I do is like, we're bypassing the conscious mind. So you have to be pretty relaxed. Like my relaxing process takes a while.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't think
It's
we
up
can
to
do it in the
you.
time frame.
Okay.
It's up to you. I'm down, but we can also like just kind of talk about the tools if that's
Right.
Okay.
an easier process for you.
Okay. I will. How about this? I'll take you through a process that I recommend people do at home
Great.
when they don't have someone like me to guide them through it.
Okay, awesome.
So, first of all, we got to look at the pattern. What's the pattern?
The pattern
You
is
said the men are toxic. So tell me, describe them to me.
um they are perfect. They're never at fault.
Not how you view them. Tell
No,
me
no,
about.
this is them. This is
Okay.
them.
Oh, in
They
their
think they're
eyes.
perfect.
Okay.
That's so funny because I'm already seeing this. Um, they think they're perfect. Nothing they do is ever wrong. It's always someone else's fault, which of course I'm the one there. So it's always my fault. Um, it's they don't women are just shit, so they don't deserve respect. They don't deserve appreciation. Um, Basically, I am a really good looking vagina for them to fuck.
Anything else?
Um, can you think of anything, Lynn, that like,
Yeah, I'm like thinking about like addicted to porn, chauvinistic,
okay, yep,
misogynistic.
Okay.
yep.
So now close your eyes. And I want you, if you can identify the feeling it feels to be with a man like this, who doesn't see how great you are, who treats you like shit, sees himself as better than, sees you as lesser than. I want you to recognize and notice that there is a place in your body where this emotion stems from. First impression, I'd like you to place your hand on it. What color is it?
Like a light blue.
Okay. And from that light blue, I want you to see pictured out from that light blue is a projection, a picture. And in this picture, as you make it clearer and clearer, I want you to notice that this is the image of the very first time you felt this emotion. Lesser than. Tell me when you got it.
It's interesting because it's actually me watching my dad treat my mom
Yep.
like shit.
There you go.
It wasn't even him treating me like shit. It was me watching him treat her badly.
And I already know that because you placed your right hand right here. Where the
Mm,
placement is your of your right hand is your maternal side. You're supporting your mom.
interesting.
So, and then that's the shortest version I've ever taken someone through that process. But now you know what you get to work on. And if I had the time, what I'd have you do is go be in that room with you, observing, and then we'd go through each person in the room and we'd neutralize the emotion.
And how would you neutralize the emotion?
Yeah.
The way you neutralize emotion is by feeling it fully. You go into it, you take it on, you feel it, you let it move through you, you allow it to take on residence in your body until it's completely emoted. See, energy gets trapped in the body, negative energy, and that's how we find it with the color. So if you go into the color and you allow it to be felt fully by you, what happens is it dissolves and resolves all on its own.
Yep.
So it's like this, we just take the emotional tag off of it. Then it just becomes a neutralized event. No emotional tie to it.
Very interesting. And it's a similar method that Lynn will use when we do some of our coaching stuff as well.
Uh-huh.
And it's something I use with a lot of my clients as well, is just to let them sit with that, to move through it and actually feel the emotion instead of what we have a tendency to do, which is we have a tendency to stick it between our heart and our throat, right? We don't want it to come all the way up. We start to feel the tears and we hold it back. And then we get that lump in our throat because we're holding that energy somewhere in this place. And if we can actually let it move all the way through our body, then it's felt, and we can move past it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was beautiful, Tammy. When you neutralize, would you then sit like with my mom and the feelings that she would have had in that time too?
Yeah, I have you connect to her,
Wow.
notice the color around her, notice what she's feeling in that moment. And we could go take this back because remember, we hold at least 7 generations
Yep.
past
Yep.
with epigenetics. So we could go back through the line and neutralize, 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 neutralize. But yes, we would even feel her emotions for her because you have to understand on the moment of conception, all mom's DNA and dad's DNA and all mom and dad's pain and trauma become yours.
Yeah.
And so, yay, we have the beautiful opportunity to heal it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I love that you go through like each part. So when you do that, are you also going through the emotion of, say, dad, of the
Well,
douchebag in the situation?
I'm really looking for, I'm reading my clients. So I'm recognizing, so we give all sorts of signals, just like you went like this on your right side. I can tell by your physiology, but then I can also feel it with you. I go through, I'm there. I always tell my clients, like, I was there in that room with you. You didn't see me, but I was the invisible observer. I'm walking them through it, but it's like oh, damn, what was your question? I
Would
completely
you
lost my
be
Yeah. We do
Don't
this
worry,
all
I
the
like that all
time.
the time. All the
Dad,
time.
That
would
never
you,
happens to
Dad,
me.
Would you be walking through like the douchebag's feelings and emotions
Oh,
as
okay.
well?
Yes, because there's a reason why he's like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's like, okay, so for me, I was more of the controller. So I adopted these ways of being from my dad. I had to take the judgment away from everyone by saying, there's a reason why I'm like this. There's a reason why he's like this. There's a reason why his father was like this. That's why I say it all just gets passed down. No one is evil.
yeah,
We are the way that we are because of our programming. And so we just get to look at that with neutral eyes. And like for me in my situation with my dad, I go back to him as this little 4-year-old boy. And I scoop him up in my arms and I love on him and I tell him everything's going to be okay. Because when I first started going back in time to be with him, I started to notice how scared and sad and overwhelmed he was. And by me helping him, I shifted, even though he's been gone since I was 11. I've been able to shift that for him. And some people will be like, what? How does that work? He's dead. No one actually dies. Like no one actually goes anywhere. So, and our lineage is staying alive basically through us. So I go back and I heal him before all of his trauma and drama even really started. Well, I wouldn't say started happening, but you know what I mean. We get to heal that for our parents, recognizing that our parents are us, and in doing so, we heal our kids.
yeah,
Look at your daughter's open to doing this work. How old is
yeah.
she?
She's like 22,
Dude, that
right?
is
Yeah.
fucking beautiful. Sorry
Yeah.
for my
Yeah.
French. That's so beautiful. And yeah, like that's the goal. Like I told my kids, I know I effed you up. Like I know that. I didn't know what I
Yeah.
was doing. I effed
Story
you
of
up.
our
I said,
lives.
but it's on you to heal just the way I did. That's on us. Like we can't put it off on our parents and say, you really. No, we can't because that wouldn't be owning our life. And like we said before, we believe that we came in here knowing what we wanted to accomplish, choosing our parents. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm always saying, well, it's interesting that I chose this scenario. I wonder what I requested myself to do in this lifetime, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I find it so funny because my boyfriend and I were speaking about this yesterday, and he was having a rough Monday. And my question to him was, well, what do you think the lesson was? Because I can tell you that every time I ask for more patience, I am given the
Ooh,
opportunity to
don't
be
ever do that.
patient. And he said that he's like, why do you keep asking for that then? And I was like, well, because I'd like to be more patient, but then it brings me something to learn to be more patient with, and I'm ready to throw it, like drop
Yeah.
kick whatever it is out the door. But every time I am actually taught a little more patience.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I asked him, like, what are you supposed to learn in this? And he was like, I don't know. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit because, you know, patience. He's like, but I didn't ask for patience. I'm like, but you probably did before you got here.
Right.
But,
So
like, what is patience? Patience is this illusion that we're not getting something done that we're supposed to get done. It's like, who said that you're supposed to do like time? What an interesting concept we created. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like,
I think
are you in a hurry to transition? Like, are you like, do you know what
that
I
for
mean?
me,
It's
yes,
just
because
such an
that's for me,
interesting
that's kind
thing.
of what it is. It's more like when I say I want patience, it's that I don't want to be reactive, right? I want to hurry up and stop being reactive to things.
How interesting.
Right? Like
Isn't that funny?
I don't want to be angry all the time, or I don't want things to piss me off, which let's just go right there. That's not going to ever happen. The whole purpose of this life is to learn.
Yeah.
And I probably learn better in moments of being pissed off than I do in moments of not.
Until you don't need that anymore. It's just a
Right.
Yes.
teacher for now, right?
Yes.
It's like, like I said, if you take time out of it, this is what Eckhart Tolle says. When you take time out of it, there's all of a sudden there's no struggle, there's no strife. It's like that's all created in the illusion of time
Yeah.
Yes.
that we should be somewhere we're not right now.
Hmm. And that's part of the struggle I think that every single one of us on this planet have is being present, not
Yeah.
being focused on the future, which gives us anxiety, not being focused on the past, which gives us guilt, and instead just being present right here, right now. And that's like a constant reminder to my kids. If my daughter calls me and is like, Mom, I'm so anxious today, I'm like, why are you so focused on the future? And then she'll literally be like, oh, I am. And I was like, so what are you so focused on? And then she'll talk about it. And then she'll be like, okay, my anxiety's gone once she's kind of worked her way through whatever it is that she's so focused on getting to.
Mm-hmm.
And instead stepping back into her right now and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I also love, I mean, you could literally just be our third sister now,
Yeah.
basically, because
Yeah.
this is all stuff that we talk about. And I will always take the opportunity to be like, this is yoga. Because there's a misinterpretation or a misidentification of yoga being an asana practice. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason that teacher trainings become so popular now is because this is at the core of yoga. This is what's taught. This is a practice that is 10,000 years old. And I love how it's hitting mainstream. Yeah, we've kind of lost, okay, well, yoga is, I'm going to do all these postures. And that's how many people identify as it. Yet this and books that are written by so many different authors, it's like we're all saying the same thing. We're just saying it in a different way that it can land for people that are ready to hear it, right?
Yeah.
Because you can go through all of this. Let's just say with someone who's like, my husband is an alcoholic and he hits me, and then now you need to take personal responsibility, which means I need to get out of victim. And that can be a very hard place for some people to leave. And therefore,
Because
if they're
victim and
not,
pointing fingers is the easiest place to sit, I see. Even in myself, when I want to run from something, and I'm very aware, so when I want to run from something, as soon as I see this, we have a saying in here, when I'm pointing my finger at you, there's three pointing back at me.
Mm.
yeah,
So as soon as I start to feel that, like it's your, oh shit, it's my fault,
Yeah.
right? I even just had a conversation with my boyfriend about this because there was like this moment where I was like, I feel a little disconnected from you and I'm not sure it's you. And he was like, what? He didn't quite understand. And I was like, well, if I'm thinking you're pulling away from me, it's probably me pulling away from you. And if I'm realistic about that, I'm starting to fall in love with you. So I'm starting to feel fear that you have the ability to hurt me. And I think I might unconsciously be pulling away from you. And he's just like, whoa. Like
Yeah,
he's
I'm
like,
sure
we
that
just went from
scares
this
him. I'm sure that
conversation.
scares him silly.
yeah,
Literally, he
Like,
was just like, well, where
oh,
did this come from?
you're in
yeah.
love with me, but you're pulling away, but you don't want it, but you do want it, but you really don't, and you do.
And you just told me.
Yeah. Like, and I was like, and so unfortunately, these are also going to be conversations we have because I need to speak about these things. And yes, I'm going to call my sister and talk to her about them, but to have the conversation with the person that I'm feeling that way about, for me, is more healing because now I'm going to tell you if you've noticed something with me, this is what I'm noticing with me. But also, as I start to say it to someone, is when I start to recognize, oh shit, this is a me thing. Like my best friend and I, if I'm like, hey, I feel like you, oh shit. Okay, so
Yes.
I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
And then
that's
we move
always the
forward.
yeah, and that's always the way it is, but we will get I think we'll just constantly be in that place where we get to be aware of it, you know?
Yeah.
It's the awareness of, oh, there it goes again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just it's a constant thing. I don't think we get to the place where we're just like, oh no, it is a me thing. It's always a me thing. It's always gonna be a me thing. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. Because we have all these things outside that look so real. They look real. They feel real. And yet we created them with
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
imagination.
Yeah.
So it's that like that's why we stay in the communities that we stay in. Like you guys have each other. You have, your group, your people that you get to talk. It keeps you very, very aware and accountable to the fact that you aren't the victim. But yes, it is very natural and innate within us to want to go back to, oh no, it's not me, it's them. It's
Yeah.
all them.
Yeah.
Everything. It's everything else and not me. So that's
Yeah.
the beauty of the community.
Mhm.
I'm so stoked by the work that you're doing, and your podcast sounds amazing. I love that people have the opportunity to like sit
Yes.
in it. So would you tell us
Yeah.
more details about your podcast and what that looks like?
Yeah. It's called Behind the Veil, Anonymous Transformations. And yeah, people come on. I don't know them before they come on. I'm going to start to ask some coaches that I know because I think that would be cool. But they come on for the first time. We look at whatever their struggle is, whatever the pattern is, and then we take them. Me, I take them. Not all of us. I take them through a process to neutralize the trauma, and then they get the enlightenment of understanding how that pattern came to be. And I usually give them some homework to work on afterwards.
Right.
So, yeah, um, I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it because I believe it's a give, give, give. First of all, people get a free transformation, but then the people that get to watch it, they're really only
Learn.
watching me because
Yeah.
there's like a picture covering them, but they get to hear them and watch me take them through the process. And then I believe that this allows the watcher to also be able to go through the process. Because when you watch someone have a transformation, it affects you and gives to
Mm.
you.
Yeah.
Like every
Mhm.
time I take someone through it, I get something out of it too.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I love it.
Yes, I
Yeah.
said that in the mastermind today. So my daughter started sharing, and then, once she went through and we were kind of coming to a close, immediately she starts with, I took up too much time. And I'm like, okay, so everybody here, who thought this was a waste of time and got absolutely nothing from it, and of course everybody got something from it. So then I said, okay, who can relate maybe with a different story? And everybody put their hand up. And I remember a coach I had, she said, the transformation lies in the sharing. So when
Yeah.
you don't share, when you aren't open to being vulnerable, then you're actually doing a disservice to humanity. So both
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
people that are anonymous and coming on are not only helping to heal themselves, but they're helping to heal everybody else because we
Mhm.
all are the same. I say same story, different narration.
Yeah. And it
Right?
ripples out,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Like when I just look at my kids and my family, how they transformed through my transformation. They didn't do any of the work, but they showed up differently because I showed up differently. And that's how we get to ripple out and affect the world by just a little pebble, little
Yeah.
every time you do something to heal that inner child,
Yeah.
it's rippling out and having massive effects all the way across on the other side of the
I'm
world.
excited to see how my children, if they choose to have children, their children are affected by their own personal work that they're doing because my kids are 20, almost 23 and almost 21. And they are so, I don't know what the word to use. I want to say advanced compared to some of their friends because of the work that I've been doing on myself and leading by example. And then them being willing to have these hard conversations, these difficult conversations, looking at themselves. And so to see what they would do in that sense with like their own kids and how they deal with these situations and things like that. So it's really interesting to me to see what it's going to be like, and I'm excited to see the butterfly effect that has happened because of the work I've done on myself as well. And that butterfly effect, instead of hopefully, I mean, our purpose is here is to be traumatized to heal from that trauma, in my opinion. But I do think that like it's going to be really interesting to see my children, like their butterfly effect becoming a more positive butterfly effect rather than our generational trauma being passed down, our generational growth being passed down.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It has to happen. It's law.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think this is such a perfect place to stop. So, thank you so much, Tammy, for being on here. And I really hope that we see you again because this literally, like you fit into our little sisterhood. So, we'll definitely have to have you back on again.
I'd love
check
that.
in with you in a few months. And thank you guys all for joining us today, those who are live on Facebook as well. You guys, we appreciate your guys' support in all of our podcasts, and we'll bring you another one next week.
Yeah. All right.
Bye. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for joining us on this spirited journey today.
We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of self-improvement with us. Two sisters who found their own unique paths.
Remember, life is a tapestry of experiences, and it's how we embrace them that makes all the difference.
So whether you're on your yoga mat, exploring mindfulness, or simply navigating life's twists and turns, always keep that spirit and sass alive.
We are Colynn and Meridee Lockoff, and we're here to remind you that happiness and abundance are within reach.
Stay connected with us on social media and keep those questions and stories coming. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, beautiful souls, keep doing the work, keep sharing your experiences, and keep living a life that's authentically you.
And never forget to add a little extra sass to your day.
Spirit and sass, always.